Hey guys, welcome back to the CasterMuse Star League Season 4. I'm Artosis, and this is the round of 4. It's a best of 7, and this is game number 1 between Rush and Best. This is going to be fantastic. These are two of the absolute best players in this matchup in the entire world. Best, I would put at number 1, Protoss vs. Terran, that there is. He's just astoundingly strong. The new speed shuttle styles that are out, he has been probably the strongest utilizing that style, with the storm drops and mass shuttle type play. But of course, there's a lot more to Protoss vs. Terran than that. He has a full wide range, and I think he is fantastic. Maybe even the favorite of the entire tournament at this point. Now, Rush, he's still up and coming, I would say, right? Like, he's not a championship level Terran yet, but he's honestly the best bet to get another player to that level, right? It's like our only real championship Terrans now that Last is kind of in retirement are Flash and Light, and I guess with Flash going towards the military, that doesn't leave us a lot of Terrans that you hope to win Star Leagues. But Rush is getting to that level. He's been really strong for a few years now and just continues to become more and more solid with time. So I'm very excited about this matchup. This is like a dream matchup, honestly. Now, the map optimizer is kind of a crazy one, and I think especially for this matchup, and we'll talk about that in a second because we have the probe coming up. It's going to do a little bit of harassment, no doubt, on the SCV. Over on Rush's side, yeah, he's just getting a gas. Everything looking kind of normal for him. But yeah, you have the middle area, and we've talked about a lot how there's an island here, and you have the mineral patches that you can mine through. The thing is, when you're both on the same side, like vertical, you can't really take this base. But there can be a little bit of harassment. Like, for instance, Scarabs can make it through those mineral patches. So that might end up being something that we end up seeing from Best. Over on Rush's side, of course, you can utilize things like a tank drop or something like that to try to hit the probes at the natural, but if your opponent has shuttles are just a bit better than dropships. They're quicker, they're more responsive. Obviously the units that you're putting in them are going to be hard for the Terran units to fight. Think about it, right? 2 tanks in a dropship versus a Reaver and 2 Zealots. The Reaver and 2 Zealots would just murder the tanks. So, it's a little bit harder when your opponent does go drops. If they don't happen to do that, then suddenly the dropship can be amazing. Yeah, it's such a good map for it. I do expect a Robo coming out of Best. Now, Best sends Zealot up. The SimCity is fantastic, though, right? He's got 2 Marines waiting. He's making a 3rd. And he has an SCV waiting here as well. It's really helpful to have that SCV. And that 1 Zealot going to pull back. You don't want to take any damage on that right now. But there is a 2nd Zealot coming up. So that is going to be important. We're going to see how he can utilize these. But 3 Marines is all right against the 1. He is making the bunker, and it looks like the 2nd Zealot's going to get here just as it finishes. So I think that we are basically just completely fine as Rush. I don't think that Best can get anything done. He starts to fight there for a moment, but now there's a bunker with 4 Marines. And yeah, that is a completely safe Rush, who's going for his add-on and going to go ahead and make his command center. So everything pretty much on time for him. Did cut 1 additional SCV so he could get that 4th Marine out and kind of make his build order still work together. But that's all right. He'll make a depot now and be totally fine moving forward. Now, he does have his scout SCV out on the map, but it is being chased by the probe, so it'll probably get picked off over time with the Dragoons, right? Another Dragoon coming. Range about halfway done. Of course, the Nexus is coming up as well with a very similar timing to the command center. And this has been about the most standard of an opener that you can get. Nothing too fancy going on. The SCV actually slips in, which is kind of nice. It'll probably take until that Dragoon's out to actually push it away. And Best does throw down the Robo. He kind of throws it down in a more forward position. We'll see if the SCV scouts it. Looks like he will. So that is a ton of intel here for Rush. Just seeing that the Robo is being made and range is being made and the 2nd Dragoon pops out in the Nexus, all these things put together, you know that there's not going to be any Dark Templars. So you don't have to worry about something such as getting an engineering bay up, making turrets or anything like that. And in fact, you can make a move like this, which is just a second factory. So we're going to see a pressure build coming out of Rush. He is going to make probably 3 siege tanks and attack with all of his Marines, his 3 tanks, and a rally of vultures coming out. It's a really strong opener if you can verify that your opponent is not going Dark Templars. Now, a second gateway coming up. This is kind of the most standard if it's Observer, especially 2-gate Observer. But it looks like it is going to be Reaver. So it's going to be a little bit more unit heavy, which will be good against the push that Rush is using. But Rush will hit before the Reaver. So he has an opportunity to do some damage before that Reaver comes out if he goes quickly. Third tank is coming, so he's going to be leaving his base momentarily here. Notice he is mining on those 4 patches, as is best. It gives you a better spread, more income. Your economy really can explode quickly on Optimizer. The Vulture actually walking out. That was kind of a weird, kind of sloppy move there. Oh, he's waiting for a 4th tank. That's really interesting. I did not expect that. Normally, you have the 3 tank timing, so you can hit before Reaver. But here he might try to fight the Reaver straight up with 4 siege tanks. And yeah, he even starts siege mode. So he has mines. And if you have siege mode during the push, if you get somewhere like up to here and you start to siege and spread, even the Reaver has a hard time holding this off. So it's kind of a cool move from Rush. I'm kind of excited about this. Engineering Bay coming up because you do need that as the follow-up. You can't really afford things like a Wraith or Goliaths to hold off the shuttle. And here we go. That's a lot of Marines. That's a lot of siege tanks. This is really exciting right now. I can't wait to see how Rush's modified push is going to work out. Now, Best has made a big concave of Protoss units. He has his Reaver. Let's see what the Scarabs can look like. Drops that Reaver out and gets a Vulture right off the bat. Not too bad, but wants a better shot than that. All right, kills off the couple of mines that get laid. And Rush turns around for now. Siege is up. He's going to take this slow. You can push with those siege tanks. Let's see what the Reaver can get for damage. Oh, a beautiful hit. And then he finishes off that siege tank. One of the mines will hit this Dragoon. Now drops that Reaver out once again. Doesn't look like he gets a good shot there. Some good Reaver, some good tank shots rather. But it looks like Best is going to clean this up. And that is really good for Best. These Dragoons and Zealots don't mean that much to Best right now. But the 4 siege tanks, that was really the backbone of the push. The push is now over. And Rush has no choice. He has to turtle up. And look at the timing of his armory. That's his first armory. That's a little bit late to actually go into a regular macro game. So all in all, I definitely like Best's position more after that push. Although I really appreciated the push from Rush. I think he may have done it, like, may have sieged a little bit too far forward. You got to really take your time and leapfrog just a little bit. Siege tank range is greater than Reaver range, but not by so much that you can push quickly there. All right, Starport is coming up. It'll be interesting to see what he wants to do with that. That's hidden purposefully here, kind of behind, so you don't see it. He might just want a Wraith, but I feel like he's going to want a dropship as well. Dropships are really strong on this map, and in fact, if you look at, for instance, this 3rd base from Best, you can actually drop some tanks onto these locations to do some harassment as well. Of course, if you have enough Dragoons, you can kill that off, but we'll see how Best handles it. All right, Speed Shuttle is ready. 2 Reavers dropping out. Ooh, a nice pull away. Doesn't even lose this SCV. Taking some damage on this Diva. Looks like that one will go down, so that is annoying. Kills off the SCV on this one also. Just going to go ahead and cancel. So he is actually supply blocked here. Ooh, the mine hits. Both the Reavers very low on health. And you know what? Killing that depot and stopping this one, what a big deal that turned out to be. He can't make any more SCVs. He's supply blocked. He couldn't make the Wraith there. A single Wraith would have been amazing to help push this back. That was actually a pretty nice drop, considering it only really killed a depot and an SCV. All right, a couple depots going up. Still supply block. That is such a long one. More factories being added from Rush. No 3rd command center as of yet, which I think is a good call from him in this game. Some speed vultures running around the map right now, seeing what they can get done, if anything. This Nexus is about to finish, but no probes are there yet. He runs in with the vultures, and unfortunately won't find many probes to kill, just gets the one. All right, the Academy now coming up for Rush. He's trying to repair his build right now, and he's making a dropship as well as 6 factories. Now, occasionally, you'll see Terrans in weird spots do things like drop into a 6 factory push and try to get Protoss out of position so they can get a nice frontal assault, get their tanks and mines set up. I don't know if that's going to work here. I feel like the best situation here... yeah, actually, he hasn't even started science facility, so I'm almost certain that's what the plan is. Starts at 3rd gas. He has the dropship, but hasn't utilized it yet. These Dragoons just kind of clearing out what they can. No real action at the moment on the map. Now, the dropship picks up 4 vultures. Okay, let's see what he gets done with that. Okay, science facility just now started. And it looks like, yeah, just some turrets going to be made. No 3rd command center yet, though. Of course, he can't really afford too much. He is actually up in workers overall, comparatively. All right, looks like he's going to try to drop here and lay some mines down. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get the types of connections he's looking for, unfortunately. And the dropship very low. Gonna get maybe a couple probes there. Not the biggest deal. All right, well, one thing we got to say, I'm actually really impressed that Rush has more workers right now than Best. He's done a great job of keeping that production up. Throws down his 3rd command center. And yeah, it looks like it is going to go into a longer game. It's hard to see any spot where we could see a big push from Rush that would end up working. So the double armory is going for those 2-1 upgrades. Just continuing to produce, getting those Charon boosters to help out his Goliath, push back some of the shuttles. And Best getting ready to take his 4th base. He's definitely going to want to expand to that bottom left area as well coming up. He's got a good spread of units defensively, getting into those Psy Storms we were talking about before. Speed Shuttle with Psy Storm. Very, very trendy in Terran vs. Protoss at the moment. And Best, probably the best overall at playing that style right now. Dragoons just kind of clearing out some mines. You see, there is still some vision on the map for Rush with these mines. And they give him some intel, but he can't really act upon anything right now. He is pretty much trapped. But he's getting ready to take that 3rd. And even though this feels like a late 3rd, it's not really that late right now. It's like as late as you can take it and still play a solid macro game. So he's starting to move forward. He definitely does need to get out there. Best is, yeah, halfway done on that 4th base. Still not super high in probes, but it's not uncommon to see Protoss players play with slightly less probes to just get a bit more army out, a bit larger army as well. And you can see that is what he's doing. He's actually up about 35 supply, but he's down 9 probes. So he's actually up about 45 army supply. Let's see if this is going to pay off for him. 4 Templars in that shuttle, rushing forward right now. A good setup, though. And look at that. Targets down with those ranged Goliaths on the shuttle. Gets rid of it, but the High Templars do get out. A couple storms go off, but not all that good. It looks like this is going to be an easy hold for Rush. Look at that. He was up 35 army supply. And now how much is he up? Really not that much. Well, I guess he's still up a decent amount. But this is good for Rush, right? As the supplies get a little bit lower here, his economy looking fantastic, picking off some of these High Templars and sieging up as he's getting ready to mine from this 3rd base. So with his 3rd base going up and the 4th base not saturated yet, just now the probes going over for Best, this is looking pretty decent for Rush. His 2-1 is going to be finishing. He's actually up already to 7 factories, which against this style is absolutely plenty. But it's not like Best is dead after that attack. I would call that pretty much a failed attack. But Best is making a lot of High Templars. He's still getting upgrades. He's re-adding some shuttles in. And, you know, he's still okay. He's still got his economy. He's not that high on workers overall, but I think that's his game plan here anyways. Now, some additional turrets being put up. You definitely need to make a decent amount of turrets and blocking buildings and things to try to stop the harassment that can occur. Looks like Best wants to attack, but this is such a choke point. I don't know if this is really going to work out for him. Let's see. Rushing forward here into that depot wall, really buying a lot of time with those buildings. And here we go. The High Templars coming out for those Psy Storms. And, oh, that's the sickest Psy Storm. And it actually just damages everything down to deep red. That is insane. Look at these SCVs. Look at the health on those. Barely not getting a massive amount of kills on that. That could have destroyed the economy. You kill 12 SCVs there? That is brutal for Terran. So that move, again, from Best doesn't work out that well. He's still kind of keeping a forward position here, but, like, he's not fooling anybody. Rush is not afraid of these Dragoons right now. He's just going to move the tanks up, and, of course, with this Observer kind of spotting that, he'll just move back with them. You're just trying to harass Rush, keep him a little bit busy. All right, 2-1 is done. 3-2 on the way, which is incredibly powerful in this matchup. Best is taking his 5th, which... This is a weird location for the 5th. This almost just feels like it's a sneak move. Like, maybe you can defend this lightly with your shuttles, but as soon as you figure this out, as Rush, this is not that hard to kill. This is, like, pretty close, right? Like, you can just send a tank right down here, and the ground army can't do much. Like, imagine sending a couple tanks and a couple Goliaths with your Vultures. It's very hard for Best to defend. All right, so he scans it, he sees it. Yeah, there you go. Sets up a couple tanks. We'll see if Best can hold on to that. He is taking this bottom left base as well, just kind of clearing out the center of the map. He does have that +2 attack, a very nice upgrade. And we'll see when the 4th command center starts for Rush. I actually think he should be starting it now. Looks like this Nexus going to fall. Yeah, I think that's just one of those risky ones where you're like, it's such an easy base to kill that a lot of times it doesn't get scouted because you just assume your opponent will never take it. But unfortunately for Best, he loses that. Kind of a big investment to lose when you're less than 50 probes. Okay, Best clearing out mines right now with his Dragoons. Doesn't want to get hit by the tanks, but clear out as many as possible. Save some Zealot lives in the future. A lot more mines being laid here. Look at that. Just such dedication to relaying mines here from Rush. Wants to make sure that he is not going to get run over at any point. He knows that the army of Best is getting gigantic once again. Now, where is that 4th CC? We really do need to see it from Rush. You can see his main base is mined out. His natural is going to be. And honestly, you have to be mining from at least 2 bases to feel good as far as your macro goes. One just isn't going to cut it. Best moving up with a giant army into this 4th base location. This is the natural 4th in these spawns for Rush. So he sees this SCV standing there. I think he knows that this is like the idea of Rush is to take this base. So he's going to slow it a little bit with this army here. Taking this other main base. Best just continuing to grow. He is maxed out. It's up at 52 probes against the 57 of Rush. And look at this. Rush leaves 1 tank and starts to move out with the rest of his army. This is a giant move out right now. 2-2 is done. His +3 attack, yeah, just now finishing. So a perfect move out timing here. Look at this. A lot of vessels leading the charge. Let's zoom out and take a look. Best rushing in from all sides right now. Throwing down the EMPs to try to kill off all these High Templar energies. But he is coming in from the side there. Dropping off some High Templars with this shuttle. Throwing down those Psy Storms as well all over the siege tanks. The army actually spread maybe a little bit too much here for Rush. Only part of his army fighting during this. He is splattering a lot of Dragoons, though. Yeah, look at that. A huge amount of that army dying off. And Rush looks like he wants to continue to push. Now, the one thing he needs to be careful about is this is mostly siege tanks. He needs to get more Vultures down here to defend because the Zealots, the reinforcing Zealots getting forward. He throws down the defense matrix, which is really strong, but tanks alone do not an army make. Moving forward here, he does pick off those units, but the next round of Zealots could be kind of efficient here. Look at this, has 1 Psy Storm ready now. Gonna throw that down on the tanks, beautifully connected. The Zealots want to get up and attack. Some good micro coming out, though. And with so many vessels, he does have, it looks like, another defense matrix on the ready, or an EMP, whichever one he wants. Throws that EMP down, and now Best going to try to break through here once again. gets on top of a lot of these tanks, dropping zealots on top of them as well. Not many vultures to help clean up, so he's losing a lot of tanks during this. The 2 tanks that cleared the middle actually attack move down as well, getting a nice setup. Don't forget, though, during all of this, Rush doesn't have a 4th CC. He is making it here, so getting ready to take that. Would love to see him maybe split off 1 tank down to here, but he's doing a good job of killing off the natural right now. Best continuing to macro up. He still actually has a similar supply. He's just being beaten positionally right now, and he does have a bigger economy, so all of this is important. Look at this. The siege tank was sent down. The probes just drill past and actually make it out while the tank is killing the cannon. So very quick reaction speed and very smart there from Best. Now Best getting ready to try to push out of here once again. The mines in the way, picks off that shuttle. He will force through those mines, but decides to back up. This spread, very hard to break through for Protoss. Best continuing to mass. Again, similar army supplies. But the economy definitely, I mean, we have more SCVs, but they're not mining, right? This is like actually too high of saturation. If a storm drop got off here, he'd probably lose the game. But his push is looking so strong. Rush definitely in command of the game right now. The only thing that we're scared about is how late this 4th is, right? Because he's going to be mining this out super quick, especially with the saturation of like 50 SCVs here. So he's going to want to send at least 24 over to the side. 2 big groups, get that base mining ASAP. Now, Best actually does have a few gateways down here, so a few units actually rallying out and going towards his base. This is a great move from him while he's being killed off in other locations. This tank has killed the Nexus. 3 tanks split off and targeting this Nexus down, not even bothering with these cannons, and that's going to be a gigantic kill for him. But Best coming down with some Zealots, going to drop on top of these tanks. He will get the tank kills. Don't forget, the economy of Rush is tiny. That is the issue with him. The 4th base is not mining. He tried to take it. Best has denied. So the production is just off of 7 mineral patches. I mean, he's mining from them as efficiently as you can with that many workers, but he can't really reinforce his army all that well. Now, the same thing can be said for Best. He's mining with like 1 probe in here. This Nexus has been killed. This Nexus has been killed. This Nexus has been killed. But he does have this nice and rich base in here, right? A few more mineral patches, very good probe saturation overall. So his production is actually going to be higher. But this spot is so hard to break out of. He doesn't have arbiters for recall. He has to ferry things out with shuttles, basically, and then make units off of these 4 gates. Those are his primary production at the moment. Now, it looks like Rush wants to take this base. I actually think this is a really smart move. Because he has the containment up, this is an area that definitely can be taken and held from him. Just throw some Goliaths in here, maybe float a building on the edge to see incoming shuttles, shoot them down. Yeah, he floats that command center from his natural down. I think that is fantastic. Now, we do have some decent army on the map here for Best. Is he going to flank this? I think this is the most important area. If Best can kill that off, he still has a shot in this game. If he cannot, over time, Rush, it seems like he's starting to take control a little bit. Well, I say that, and then more speed shuttles ferry units into here, and Rush still cannot mine from a 4th base. What a wild game. Best just being so crafty with his units. Delaying this down with like the smallest little podunk armies you've ever seen. Now, going to drop some Zealots and everything on top of these siege tanks. Rush has to be careful about getting too cost inefficient here. Some storms going down. And you know what? Zealots fight very well against tanks. Another storm goes down. Only 1 left on 6 health. But he can go and pick up some more units over here. More and more units rallying out of these 4 gates during all this. Another Nexus going down for Best. And look at this. Rush sending a lot of units here. He knows that he just has to get this base up and mining. All right, loading up some more shuttles. This is still a great setup for Rush. It's just keeping a lot of the units in. You know, if you move from this position, then Best gets free reign of the map again. And they do have similar army sizes. But there's a little bit more harassment potential for Best because of his shuttles. Now, it looks like he's just going to go in, dropping with 3 shuttles on top of all these siege tanks, trying to bust out. A ton of defense matrix starting to go down. He does have so many science vessels in here. Those defense matrix is totally awesome, but the spread of Best just demolishing everything. The defense matrix siege tanks, the last things left alive, but those will be cleaned up as well. And Best has finally broken from the contain. A few more units coming up for Rush. But this army a little bit too big. Zealots running, getting on top of this. Even an Archon being morphed. Anything to fight right now for our Protoss player. Rush rather, trying to set up a little contain once again, but this is very, very small. All right, he might catch these shuttles. No, flies right around. And he is just going to dive bomb on top of everything. Drops on top of that tank. And the Mind Drag kills it off. And Archon, the perfect unit in this weird game to drop on top of these SCVs. But it looks like Rush will defend this and get back to mining here. The Archon, though. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, that final Archon shot was insane. Great targeting. Only 4 SCVs left over in this base. Best just being so thrifty this game. Now some vultures running down, but Best now has an additional base here. He has this base mining at over full capacity. This has been an absolutely wild one. I mean, we're past 25 minutes right now. These guys having a hard time mining, having a hard time making anything come together. Lots of defenses being set up. He doesn't have that many SCVs here, but this defense looks good. I don't think that's something you can break with just your standard Zealot Dragoon army, right? It's just going to be too cost efficient, especially as we get defense matrices and EMPs up on the 100 energy there. Best trying to clear the middle of the map a little bit. Let's see what Rush has for army outside of this defensive force. Right, he's got a few vultures running around laying some mines. 3 tanks here, 1 tank here. Almost out of minerals. Going to send some more SCVs to this base. So really getting a lot of mining done. Is it time for him to pull his army together to try to do something? Or is he supposed to just let Best mine everything and make sure that he continues on his base? The problem I see here is that Best is taking map control once again. So he can do things like re-expand to these bases. And he has 2 mining bases against 1, which is pretty significant. Vulture's getting in and going to pick off some decent amount of probes, actually. Probe count dropping below 30 here. So not too bad on that harassment. But I think this situation will get more dire. Nexus going down. Rush is going to need to think of something to do. Notice that their supply is about the same, but we have 13 more workers for Rush, so that means that's the army supply lead that we have for Best. But the scaling of the Terran army is a bit better. He's got 3 upgrades. He does have some vessels left over, although we have Psystorms. Do we have Psystorms, actually? I don't know that we actually have any High Templars left over. I think we actually do not. He's not really mining that much gas, so it's mostly Zealot Dragoon and some shuttles. All right, looks like he's going to drop in. The Mind Drag is huge there. Defense Matrix goes down. And, yeah, I guess he'll be able to maybe just barely clear out these Zealots. Keeps his workers alive. Does lose a chunk of his SCVs there, though. And not much defense left over. So another drop, actually, is going to be really strong. Best, of course, knows this. Comes in with 2 shuttles of Zealots here once again. As mines are getting laid down, leaves only 2 out to drag those. Yeah, and then even just a single Zealot doing a good job. But Rush has decided to attack across the map now. Laying down a lot of mines, moving forward. He has a lot of energy on this vessel. Quite a few siege tanks. The army of Best looks like it should be able to clear this, though. Let's see if he can spread and siege. Yeah, that's a lot of Zealots and Dragoons. He's got the 2 shuttles for bombing as well. Siege is up. Let's see what Rush can do. 1 defense matrix. He's going to have another one now as well. He's got a target with these siege tanks onto the goons, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Best might have done it here. He's going to secure a victory because nothing is left for Rush. He's barely mining. Well, I guess he's floating to here, but Look at this. Command, Nexus. What do we have for an army for Rush? A few units over here, a few units over here. It's so small compared to what Best has. And with Best moving up the map, if he can deny this space, that's long distance mining at the moment. I think there won't be a lot left for Rush. Another drop off onto these tanks. Oh, the Psystorm goes down, getting some SCVs, hurting that Goliath quite a bit. Won't clear this space yet, but the defenses are waning here for Rush. Siege tanks coming up from that side. The Zealots running forward. A flank of more Zealots coming in as well. And that's it. GG. Best wins an epic game number 1.